So, as you know, Harry is expected to attend the Invictus Birmingham one-year countdown event in July. And as you know, the usual suspects are working themselves up into a frenzy because they don't know if he's going to attend. Although he's expected to attend, they don't know if he's going to attend. They don't know if he's going to attend alone, if he does attend, and they don't know if he will be bringing his children and or Meghan. So because there are no leaks from Montecito, the papers are speculating and they are turning themselves into, I don't know, a spiral of confusion in their speculation. So the bottom line is this. There will be, as there always is, a 1 year to go event for the games that's going to take place in Birmingham next year in July. And also, we know that Ravek, they need to make a security decision before Harry.
So once again, the British press is spiralling into absolute hysteria over whether Prince Harry will attend the Invictus Games Birmingham countdown event, whether Meghan Markle will join him, whether the children will come, whether there will be a royal reunion, whether there will be a snub, whether somebody will avoid somebody else, whether there will be tension at Balmoral, whether there will be awkwardness at Wimbledon. It is honestly exhausting. Because underneath all this speculation, the actual issue is very simple. Security. That is the story. Not imaginary summer feuds. Not whether Harry will walk past his brother in a corridor somewhere. Not whether palace aides are carefully managing optics. The real issue is whether Harry can safely bring his wife and children to the UK. That is the issue the media keeps dancing around. And what makes this so frustrating is that the press simultaneously mocks Harry for security concerns, while also admitting there are genuine risks attached to him being in Britain. Which is it? Because if Harry's concerns are supposedly exaggerated, then why is security constantly being discussed around every potential visit? Why is there always talk about assessments, risks, arrangements, approvals, logistics, and official decisions? Clearly the threat level exists. Clearly this is serious. And yet some people still try to frame Harry as paranoid or difficult for wanting protection for his wife and children. That makes absolutely no sense to me, especially considering who Harry is. This is not some random celebrity asking for special treatment. This is the son of a king. This is a man who served in the military, who publicly acknowledged killing Taliban fighters during active service, who founded the Invictus Games, and who has lived under intense public scrutiny and documented threats for decades. Of course, security matters. Of course, he is cautious. And of course, Meghan and the children would not casually hop on a plane without clarity about their protection. Any responsible parent would make the exact same decision. What I also find interesting is how the media keeps reframing basic reality as some shocking new development. Apparently now it is big news that Harry may avoid his brother and sister-in-law if he comes to Britain. Really? We already knew that. Harry has visited the UK multiple times over the last few years without dramatic family reunions taking place. This is not new. And honestly, under the current circumstances, why would anyone expect forced family gatherings anyway? Especially when trust between the parties appears to have completely broken down. But the media loves turning obvious logistical realities into emotional soap operas. One headline says Harry is being snubbed. Another says the palace is managing the situation diplomatically. Another says the future king is furious. Another says reconciliation is progressing. Every outlet spins a different version, depending on the narrative they want that day. But beneath all the noise, the reality remains unchanged. Harry's primary concern appears to be the safety of his family. And I think most normal people understand that instinctively. Now let's talk about Balmoral for a second, because I think this part is actually very sad. The coverage keeps treating this as some kind of strategic chess game about avoiding awkward encounters. But the deeper story is about grandchildren barely knowing their grandfather. King Charles III has reportedly spent very limited time with Archie and Lilibet. And regardless of where people stand on royal drama, that is genuinely unfortunate. Because children grow up quickly. Years pass quickly. And at some point, you cannot get that time back. The saddest part is that even the possibility of a family gathering, reportedly, requires military-level planning around tensions between adult siblings. That is not healthy. That is not normal. And honestly, it says a lot about how fractured the family dynamic has become. One thing I will say about the late Queen Elizabeth II is that she understood the symbolic importance of family unity in public. Whether people liked the monarchy or not, she understood optics. She understood the value of creating images of continuity, connection, and togetherness around her children and grandchildren. But now everything feels fragmented, carefully managed, over-analyzed, emotionally distant, and no amount of palace briefing can fully hide that reality. Because people are starting to notice the contradiction. On one hand, we constantly hear stories that the king wants reconciliation, wants family healing, wants to see his grandchildren. But on the other hand, Harry continues fighting for adequate security arrangements when visiting the UK. And people naturally ask the obvious question. If the institution truly wanted this situation resolved, why has it become so difficult? Why does everything feel like a negotiation? Why does every visit feel uncertain? Why is there still so much ambiguity surrounding protection for Harry and his family? And another thing people rarely discuss honestly is the comparison many viewers make internally. Because while Harry fights legal battles over security, the institution reportedly continues providing extensive support and protection elsewhere within the family. That contrast has not gone unnoticed publicly, and I think that is part of why sympathy for Harry has quietly grown over time. Because even people who are not huge Sussex supporters can understand a father wanting safety for his children. That is universal. And I think the British media sometimes forgets that people outside the UK do not view this story through the exact same institutional lens. Globally, many people simply see a couple trying to protect their family while navigating an incredibly hostile media environment. And honestly, after everything Harry has publicly described over the last several years, why would Meghan feel comfortable bringing the children into that atmosphere without proper guarantees? Why would any mother? That does not make Meghan difficult. That makes her protective. And Harry clearly agrees. At the end of the day, the tabloids can keep recycling endless speculation about snubs, tensions, summer schedules, Balmoral seating plans, and hypothetical reunions. But the central issue remains exactly the same as it has been for years. Harry wants his family protected. And until that issue is fully resolved, every single UK visit will continue carrying uncertainty. That is not drama. That is reality. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the media deliberately avoids focusing on the security issue because it makes Harry and Meghan look reasonable?